What is your opinion on all the stuff that is happening with Johnny Somali in Korea? Yeah, he once he finished with the police investigation, he will be deported, and what he did was horrible.
Johnny Somali has ignited yet another wave of outrage, landing himself squarely in the spotlight once again. The controversial streamer, infamous for his audacious and inflammatory behavior, has pushed boundaries further than ever during his time in South Korea. In just a few weeks, he has managed to provoke law enforcement, offend local mafia groups, insult everyday citizens, and demean the country's cherished cultural heritage. His actions are nothing short of jaw-dropping. To many, his behavior is bewildering. Why would anyone go to such lengths? Yet for Johnny, it all seems like part of a relentless campaign to gain attention. His stunts have ranged from shockingly disrespectful to outright incendiary. From picking fights with locals to ridiculing cultural symbols, his actions have crossed line after line, leaving many stunned and furious. But just when you think he might have hit his limit, Johnny finds a way to escalate even further. In a recent live stream, he made an announcement so provocative it sent shockwaves across social media. He brazenly threatened to repeat the very stunt that initially landed him in hot water, defiling the revered comfort women statue. If TikTok dared to ban his account, this monument, deeply significant to South Koreans as a symbol of historical resilience and suffering, became the focal point of his offensive rhetoric. His comments have sparked an outcry online, with countless voices demanding harsher measures to curb his inflammatory behavior. Yet the question remains, will Johnny finally face the consequences of his actions, or will he continue to push boundaries, testing the patience of those around him? Almost immediately after Johnny Somali's inflammatory threat, South Korean social media influencer Kang Min Lee delivered a fiery response that lit up online platforms. "I dare you to do it again, Johnny Somali. Mess around, and I promise you, Koreans won't be messing around." It's clear that the patience of the Korean community has run out, and this time, they seem more determined than ever to take action. The outrage stems from Johnny's previous stunt involving the Comfort Women statue, a monument of profound historical and emotional importance in South Korea. These statues of peace were created to honor the women who endured unimaginable suffering during World War II. Many of these women were forced into horrific circumstances that robbed them of their dignity, leaving scars that still resonate deeply within their communities. These statues serve as symbols of resilience, remembrance, and peace, holding immeasurable value for South Koreans. To mock or desecrate such a significant monument is seen as not just disrespectful, but as a deeply offensive act that cuts at the heart of the nation's history and collective memory. One online user encapsulated the public outrage, stating, "The mistake here is that Johnny Somali kissed and performed inappropriate actions toward this statue. This is the Statue of Peace, which pays homage to those who endured unspeakable suffering during a dark chapter in history." For many, his actions are not just an insult to a nation, but to the very ideals of respect and humanity. The fact that Johnny Somali intentionally targeted the Comfort Women statue makes his actions all the more disturbing. This wasn't some innocent misstep or moment of ignorance as he initially claimed. It was a calculated and deliberate act to stir outrage and attract attention. Despite his attempts to play the role of an uninformed tourist, footage has since surfaced, showing Johnny openly admitting that his behavior was premeditated. His supposed innocence has been exposed as nothing more than a thin veil for his relentless clout-chasing antics. For South Koreans, this goes far beyond a single statue. It's about honoring the memory of those who endured unimaginable suffering and ensuring that their sacrifices are never diminished or forgotten. Johnny's deliberate disregard for these sentiments wasn't just provocative, it crossed an unforgivable line, fueling nationwide anger. The question now is whether Johnny Somali will face any real consequences for his actions. For many, this isn't just an online controversy, it's a demand for accountability from someone who has blatantly disrespected history and the people who hold it sacred. In another recently uncovered video, Johnny is seen outright confirming that his actions at the Comfort Women statue were intentional. He admitted that seeking out the statue and behaving inappropriately near it wasn't a coincidence. It was a planned move to offend and provoke. This revelation further cements the perception that Johnny's behavior wasn't a misguided mistake, but a direct attack on South Korean culture and history. Unsurprisingly, South Koreans responded swiftly and decisively to Johnny Somali's actions, reporting him to local authorities almost immediately. In a country that deeply cherishes its cultural heritage, there was no way a foreigner mocking one of its most significant monuments would go unchallenged, especially not for fleeting online fame. To officials and citizens alike, Johnny's antics were far from amusing. They were a direct insult. Despite the gravity of his actions, authorities initially opted to show some leniency, considering the possibility that Johnny, as a foreigner, might not fully grasp the cultural significance of the monument he desecrated. They demanded a public apology from him, insisting he acknowledge the widespread anger and outrage his behavior had sparked. The public's reaction, however, was immediate and unforgiving. Condemnation poured in from all corners, with countless voices expressing fury over his blatant disrespect. The backlash grew so intense that Johnny even received threats against his safety, underscoring just how profoundly his actions had offended the South Korean people. In a dramatic twist, the outrage escalated further when a South Korean YouTuber decided to take matters into their own hands. They issued a bounty of 2 million won, roughly $2,000, for any information on Johnny's whereabouts. While this amount may seem modest by some standards, in South Korea, it was a clear signal of how seriously the public viewed the situation and their determination to see Johnny held accountable. The bounty placed on Johnny Somali was a clear indication of the public's resolve to hold him accountable. However, this was just one chapter in the chaos Johnny brought to South Korea. His behavior, both online and in public, has been relentlessly inflammatory. He seems to thrive on sparking outrage, using his platform to antagonize and provoke wherever he goes, leaving a trail of controversy in his wake. To many, Johnny embodies the definition of a walking provocation, a person who actively seeks to create conflict and gain notoriety at the expense of others. Critics argue that he's more than just a nuisance. He's a persistent and escalating problem. With each incident, the question grows louder. How much longer can he push boundaries before facing serious consequences? It's rare to see someone so committed to provoking outrage on a global scale, yet Johnny has firmly cemented his place at the top of that infamous list. His antics have no apparent limits, and one particularly shocking incident has left many questioning how far he's willing to go. In a jaw-dropping display, Johnny took his behavior to an appalling level by taunting South Korea with inflammatory remarks. He told the nation to go fight Japan while playing Baratai, an imperial Japanese army march, and mimicking gestures historically tied to propaganda and militarism. Such actions are not only deeply offensive, but dangerously close to incitement. For South Korea, a nation with a complex history of colonization and conflict, such behavior is nothing short of inflammatory and utterly unacceptable. Johnny Somali's provocations are now being seen as more than just antics. They're being viewed as potential threats to national security. In a region already marked by delicate geopolitical tensions, his reckless behavior is pouring gasoline on the fire. One particularly shocking incident involved him posting an Instagram story with the North Korean anthem playing in the background, further fanning the flames of outrage. This audacity has led to wild speculation about his motives. Among the most bizarre theories circulating is the claim that Johnny is secretly working as an agent for North Korea. While there's no evidence to support such an idea, his actions undeniably resemble propaganda-style behavior aimed at stirring division and chaos. A prominent lawyer weighed in on the situation, describing Johnny's behavior as beyond reckless, emphasizing the wide range of animosity he has managed to incite. Johnny has alienated everyone, the lawyer noted. South Korea despises him, Japan is outraged, North Korea likely views him as a liability, and even the US Embassy appears to be growing increasingly resentful of his antics. But the criticism doesn't stop there. Somalians have also voiced their anger, accusing Johnny of misrepresenting their identity to deflect accountability for his racist and controversial behavior. Reports have revealed that Johnny is actually Ethiopian and allegedly adopted the name Somali as a shield, knowing it would unfairly shift blame onto Somalians. This has understandably sparked outrage within the Somali community, who now face unwarranted criticism due to Johnny's actions. For many, his misuse of their identity is yet another layer of his calculated and deeply offensive behavior. Public frustration with Johnny Somali has reached its peak, with anger boiling over into real-world confrontations. In a shocking turn of events, individuals labeled as bounty streamers have physically confronted Johnny in retaliation for his inflammatory behavior. These incidents underline just how far people have been pushed by his relentless pursuit of online notoriety and reckless antics. Johnny's actions are no longer dismissed as simple attention-seeking. They've escalated into what many see as a global nuisance. Whether he ultimately faces serious consequences remains uncertain, but one fact is undeniable. His behavior has earned widespread international disdain, leaving almost no place willing to tolerate his presence any longer. However, Johnny's antics finally caught up with him in a moment that has gone viral for all the right reasons. This time, he met his match in Dalgyun-yu, a Korean Special Forces operative who confronted Johnny head-on in an incident that electrified social media. Videos of the altercation spread like wildfire, with countless South Koreans hailing Dalgyun-yu as a hero for standing up to the streamer's blatant provocations. While the public celebrated Yu's swift and decisive response, the gravity of Johnny's situation remains undeniable. The controversial streamer now faces serious charges, including sexual harassment, disrupting public peace, and drug-related offenses. If convicted, Johnny could spend up to 10 years in prison, a consequence that many view as a long overdue reckoning for his escalating and dangerous behavior. Adding to Johnny Somali's mounting legal troubles is the potential for an additional 7 years in prison if he's convicted of creating and distributing fabricated AI content allegedly targeting a well-known actress. In a bold step to ensure accountability, South Korean authorities have confiscated Johnny's passport, effectively grounding him in the country to face justice head-on. Until he serves his sentence, Johnny is prohibited from traveling or attempting to evade the consequences of his actions. This restriction follows the discovery of drugs at his residence, further complicating his case. Authorities suspect that these substances may have been intended not just for personal use, but possibly for illegal distribution, raising serious questions about how Johnny has been funding his extended stay in South Korea. The situation has sparked mixed reactions among South Koreans. While many are eager to see Johnny punished for the damage he's caused, others have questioned whether a 17-year prison sentence is the best solution, citing concerns about the burden on taxpayers. Deportation has been suggested as a simpler alternative, but critics argue that it would allow Johnny to sidestep the full weight of justice for his actions. To make matters even more contentious, reports indicate that Johnny's infamy has already reached South Korean prison inmates. Word of his offenses has spread, and insiders claim that his notoriety has made him a potential target within the prison system. For many, the thought of Johnny facing not only the legal consequences, but also the prison culture he has mocked adds yet another layer of intrigue to his story. For those behind bars, the idea of Johnny Somali joining them has sparked anticipation of their own form of justice. His fate, however, remains uncertain. What is clear is that Johnny's actions have ignited a nationwide discussion about accountability, consequences, and the breaking point for tolerance toward those who blatantly disrespect cultural and legal norms. Johnny Somali seems to have nowhere left to turn. He has enraged South Koreans across all walks of life and even become a talking point in political campaigns. Several politicians have vowed to take swift action to remove him from the country if elected, making his expulsion a key platform issue. For many citizens, the promise of finally ridding South Korea of Johnny Somali is enough to earn their support at the polls. Despite the overwhelming backlash, Johnny continues to fan the flames. In a shocking livestream, he claimed he wished North Korea would attack South Korea, a comment so inflammatory it has further outraged the public and raised questions about why he still has access to the internet at all. His audacious remarks show a complete disregard for the gravity of his actions, leaving many baffled that he's still allowed to broadcast his hateful rhetoric. As the legal system moves to ensure he faces justice, a lingering question remains. Will Johnny Somali finally be held accountable, or will vigilantes reach him first? With government officials, angry citizens, and even bounty hunters targeting him, it seems the walls are rapidly closing in. South Korean authorities have vowed to hold him accountable for every offense, But speculation swirls over whether vigilantes, emboldened by his notoriety, might beat them to it. The unfolding saga has captivated social media, where users are divided on how this story will end. Will the courts ensure Johnny faces justice for his reckless and offensive behavior? Or will karma, embodied by those pursuing him, intervene before the legal system can act? One thing is certain, Johnny Somali's antics have hit a breaking point, and the consequences he's evaded for so long are finally catching up with him. His downfall serves as a stark reminder that chasing clout by disrespecting others and ignoring the consequences inevitably leads to a reckoning. What do you think? Will justice be served in court, or will karma find him first? Share your thoughts in the comments. This is a conversation the world won't stop watching.